Today we're going to be working on adding and subtracting mixed numbers. And so if you open this up, at the very top we have adding mixed numbers with like and unlike denominators. So we're going to be working on adding on the left-hand side, and then we'll work on subtracting on the left-hand side. So over here, I have common denominators, and when I add mixed numbers, I'm always just going to add the two whole numbers. 9 plus 1 is 10. And then I'm going to add my two fractions. 2/3 plus 2/3 is 4/3. I add my numerators. 2 plus 2 is 4. And keep my denominator. Now, I know that 4/3 is an improper fraction, and so I'm going to have to take 1 out of 4/3 and add it to 10. So that would be 11. And when I take 3 away from 4, I'm left with 1/3. So 10 and 4/3 is the same as 11 and 1/3. So 9 and 2/3 plus 1 and 2/3 is 11 and 1/3 in simplest form. On this next one, I've got 5 plus 3, which I know is 8. But then I've got fractions with unlike denominators. So I'm going to make the denominators the same before I do anything else. 8 and 6 have a common multiple of 24. So I'm going to multiply 8 times 3. And then 3 times 3. So this is 5 and 9 24ths. Plus 6 times 4 gets me 24. So I'm going to do 5 and 4, or 5 and 6 times 4. So I've got 3 and 20 over 24, or 20 24ths. Notice that when I changed the fraction part, I did not change any part of the whole number. The whole numbers don't get multiplied, they stay the same. Now I can add my whole numbers. 5 plus 3 is 8. I've got like denominator, so my denominator will be 24, and 9 plus 20 is 29. When I do this now, I realize that this is an improper fraction, so I've got to take 1 whole away from 29 24ths and make 8 into 9. And then 29 minus 24 leaves me with 5 left over. So I have 9 and 5 24ths as my answer here. On the next example, we've got two negatives, and we know that when we're adding with the same sign, we add and keep. So our answer is going to be negative. Otherwise, we can just add like normal. They have common denominator, so 8 plus 1 is 9. Don't forget your negative sign. And then my common denominator is 9. 2 plus 7 is 9. And we should know that 9 ninths is equal to 1 whole. So I'm going to take the 1 whole from here and add it to my whole number 9. And one more negative would be negative 10. Again, don't forget your negative sign. If you want to use a little bit of estimating skills, this is about negative 8 plus about negative 2. Negative 8 plus negative 2 is negative 10. And so our answer seems reasonable and makes sense. We're going to do one more here together. We've got a negative and a positive, and we know that when we're adding with different signs, we actually have to subtract and keep the sign with the higher number. So in this case, 2 is bigger than 1. So I'm going to actually subtract my whole numbers. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then 5/7 minus 4/7. My denominator is the same, so I can keep the 7, and 5 minus 4 is 1. Keep the sign of the higher number in this case. That's a negative. So negative 2 and 5/7 plus 1 and 4/7 is equal to negative 1 and 1/7. So when we're adding mixed numbers, we're using what we learned about adding fractions with like and unlike denominators. We've always got to have a common denominator, and we can make common denominators by multiplying numerator and denominator by the same number. We can add our whole numbers first and then add our fractions second, and from there we just have to reduce or simplify, getting rid of any improper fractions and reducing any fractions that need to be reduced. At this point in time, I would challenge you to try the next two on your own, 5 and 6, and then watch the last video or the next video to see if you got the answers correct or not.